All right, we're going to kick things off. One, thank you for joining us for our WheelHouse IT web series. David, if you can progress to the next slide for me. Thank you so much. Before we start, we encourage you to ask questions. All questions will be moderated and they will not show up to the general audience unless one of the moderators behind the scenes pushes the question to the Q&A panel. I invite all of you to test out that Q&A panel right now. It should be on the right side of your screen. You'll see a little question mark box. In there, we'd love you to know where you are viewing from. Send a shout out in the Q&A panel at any time with your first name and the company. You'll see an example there. At the end of this, the entire recording will be there for your use. It's at wheelhouseit.com/resources. Again, that is wheelhouseit.com/resources. We have a huge mix here, a lot of people that are not WheelHouse IT clients and some that are, so we thank both of you for being here. This is not a sales pitch by any means. It is simply a quick tips and tricks about Microsoft Teams. Without further ado, I'm going to throw this over to David Branscome from Microsoft. David, off to you.
Thank you very much, Rory. All right, so today I'm going to be talking to you about some of the things that Microsoft has learned about what we consider the future of work, especially as it relates to kind of the change in work styles that we've all seen over the last year. And I'll show you some of the new product innovations in Teams that might make your work day a little bit more productive, a little bit more enjoyable. So let's get started. So what is it that makes Teams unique? So there are a lot of different point solutions that are out there, Zoom, WebEx, there's Slack, and different tools that organizations may use for communications and collaborations. But we believe that our approach to teamwork provides a more holistic, more complete solution for our customers. So Teams isn't designed just for meetings. It isn't designed just for chat, even though it does do those things. But really the goal is to help people stay connected, to be able to collaborate seamlessly and simplify their work in a secure and compliant manner. It does that all in one place. So let's take a look at just a couple of the things that make Teams unique and some of the new features that are specifically designed to help people get their job done and stay healthy, which I hope all of you are doing during this pandemic. Now, many of you are very familiar with Teams. You have a kind of a basic understanding, but for those of you that may not be as familiar with it, Teams is a productivity platform. It includes meetings and chat and collaboration. So as far as meetings, first and foremost, Teams enables rich online meeting experiences. Chat, you can also reduce your email clutter by chatting with your colleagues using the rich messaging experience in Teams chat. In terms of collaboration, Teams allows you to collaborate with team members on shared documents. And since these documents are actually stored in SharePoint, you'll notice here that you have the ability to co-author directly in the documents without ever leaving Teams. So those little colorful icons that you see there, the AW and MS, indicate different people working on the document at the same time. And notice that they haven't left the Teams interface at all. They're still working within the Teams interface. And lastly, calls. Teams replaces the need for your desk phone. So you're able to receive audio and video calls, and you have the support for things like voicemail and voicemail transcription for convenience. You can read your voicemail on your phone or on your PC. Now, we're all on webinars. We're all on video meetings so much these days. And we believe that these meetings can be more engaging. They can be more dynamic. And so Teams gives you greater control over how you can see shared content as well as the other participants in a meeting. So one of the things that we do is provide the ability to highlight your active speaker. So to help you make sure you know who's talking or trying to talk, Teams visually highlights the active speaker in purple, but it also, whoops, let me go back there. I clicked on the wrong thing. Well, it also highlights the speakers that got their hands raised in yellow, so people are able to see that. Large gallery. So large gallery view lets you see more faces than just your standard 3x3 boxes. You can actually see up to 49 users on the screen at once. So if we go into large gallery view, for just as an example, this is the default view, but if you go to large gallery, you click on that ellipsis, you can see what 16 attendees would look like, 25 attendees, and finally up to 49 different attendees in a single view. So this is a feature that many customers had been waiting for to get parity with what Zoom allows, and that is now fully featured in Teams. We've also introduced a new meeting experience called Together Mode. And the idea behind Together Mode is to kind of remove the barriers between people and help people reduce meeting fatigue. So let's take a look at how that is actually accomplished. So from a normal video call, you can select Together Mode from the menu. And what this feature does is it uses artificial intelligence segmentation technology to digitally place your participants in a shared background. So it makes it feel like they're in the same room with everybody else in the meeting or in a class. So this mode tends to make meetings a little bit more engaging. It helps users observe the nonverbal cues that are really so important to human interaction, the smiles, the head nods, the maybe a questioning look that tells you need to go back and explain something again. And as you can see here, Together Mode scales the stage environment up to 49 users, just like with the gallery mode.
Hey, David, a couple of people are asking, how do you get to that point?
To get to Together Mode?
To Together Mode or show the 49 people on the screen?
Oh, well, I mean, first of all, you have to have 49 people in the meeting, right? So if you only have 3, it's only going to show 3. But if you have a large meeting, it's going to show as many people as you have, and it'll distribute them in a kind of a not really a random pattern, but it's not necessarily something you can predict, right? I mean, there's no way you can say I want to be in the front row. So, and as far as how you get there, if you go up to the ellipsis up, let me get my laser pointer here. Go up to the ellipsis up here and click on that. There's a Together Mode feature that you just select from the menu. So this you have to do this within the meeting, right? So the meeting has to be started, and from there you can click on the ellipsis. There's an automatic selection for Together Mode as well as large gallery view, and then that'll get you to this view. Hopefully that answers the question.
Thanks, David.
Yep. We're all working, or well, many of us are working at home or in different environments that we weren't exactly expecting to be working in. And sometimes it's hard to get away from background noises. So people shuffling papers, eating food, your dog's barking, lawnmower going outside. My daughter's 12 and she barrels into my office, with frequent, surprising regularity. So things like that can be distractions. So Teams now offers 3 levels of what we call noise suppression to help keep meeting participants focused. So I'm going to let this play, and you'll actually hear the noise suppression feature kick in. So it shows you where the feature is found and what it actually does. So you go to Settings and Devices, and then you have the noise suppression feature. And then you select.
I'm still working from my apartment, and while it can be challenging at times sharing a space with my roommate, I love the fact that I save an hour each day from my commute to the office.
Yeah, you know, a lot of my colleagues are starting to work back in the office. I think they just find it a quieter environment. And hey, there's really good parking right now.
So I got an email from the GM last week about the new work from home policy for next year. I think when things get back to normal, I'll probably still work from home at least twice a week.
All right, so I'm hoping that the audio came through there. Rory, what was the audio? Could everybody hear that?
I was able to hear it. I see that a couple of people are having issues with their connection. But you'll be able to watch this as a recording, and we'll send that out to everybody who is here.
Okay. All right. Good. So, so hopefully, if you weren't able to hear it live in the recorded session, you'll be able to observe the activation of the noise suppression. So this is actually pretty good. We were actually on a call just this morning, one of my colleagues and I, and he had a coffee maker going in the background, and it was loud. It sounded like he had like he was driving with the window open. And I told him, do you have noise suppression turned on? He said, what's that? I showed him, and like immediately it went down to nothing. So the thing really does work. It's pretty cool. Live captions. So live captions gives you a real-time view of what's being said in a meeting. And so it does this using artificial intelligence powered speech recognition. So again, I'm going to let the video roll and just watch along the bottom down here of the screen. And the important part that I want you to take note of is the attribution, the speaker attribution. So we know who's speaking, and so we highlight the change of speakers. And this becomes important in the transcription part. But let me go ahead and just run the video here.
Now, when I turn on live captions, I can actually see who is speaking.
This is especially helpful when someone is presenting and you can't see the person talking.
Right. So you saw the change in speakers there, and the very accurate transcription taking place. So this is a very valuable tool, especially for people that maybe are in a noisy environment, or they just want to be able to go back and read the information later on. All right, collaboration on a whiteboard. So because we are working from home so often, the typical scenario where you brainstorm and maybe you go into a conference room and you whiteboard something, that scenario can be a real challenge. So with what we call the Microsoft Whiteboard, where you share it over Teams, you can collaborate in real time on a shared digital whiteboard. And since you each have your own screen, right, you have your own laptop or tablet or whatever that has the whiteboard feature available, it can be even better than a physical space, because everybody can be working on the whiteboard at once. You're not physically constrained and worried about bumping into each other on a single whiteboard. It's a shared whiteboard. So let's take a look at some of the features that are available. Oops, why did that not go back there? Whiteboard.
Now, when I turn on live captions.
Sorry. Let's see if I get the whiteboard going. There we go. Okay. So they open up the whiteboard, and now there are a couple things here. One is sticky notes. So with the sticky notes, as you can see, you can give like a thumbs up to a sticky note. You can create new sticky notes. You can move them around on the board, whatever you want to do. Sometimes people have bad handwriting, and the whiteboard can actually fix that for you. So once you can write something on the whiteboard, and then if you highlight that information, then you notice there's a little magic wand there. It'll fix your handwriting. So that's something that I'm looking forward to using on a regular basis. Converting an image to ink. So you can take a photograph or a screenshot, and it converts into digital ink, which allows you to actually modify that picture without having to redo the entire picture. So it becomes digital instead of like a screenshot would be something that you couldn't really edit. But in this case, they were able to edit it because it was converted into ink. So things like that are really cool in the Whiteboard app and can help help people to collaborate and use this collaboration space very effectively. So we saw the ability to do live captions, and the live captions in the meeting also generate a meeting transcript. So transcription within Teams lets you review what was said, and then you can track action items in a format that actually allows you to search the transcript. So as we see here, we have both the video and the meeting transcript saved in the meeting chat. If you open up the transcript, you see a full transcript of the meeting, including the speaker attribution, so you know who said what. And this makes it easier for the attendees to either refresh their memory about what the next steps were from a previous meeting, or if there's a dispute about what was said during a meeting or who was assigned something during a meeting, you can help hold people accountable to their commitments using this transcript feature.
Hey,
Breakout
David,
room. Yeah.
one of the questions we just received was, how do you get the transcript of that closed captioning?
Oh, yeah. So if your meetings are saved, let me just go back one. So when the meeting is generated, you have the recording of the meeting and then the transcript right alongside it. So I'll just show that real quick, so you get a view of it right there. So see that right there, the transcript is located there, and you just pop it open. It's just like a text file that is shared alongside the meeting recording. So if you record the meeting, the transcription is saved right along with it. That's how you get to it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. There's a couple other questions that are in the Q&A. I don't know if you want to pause and go through them, or if you want to kind of wrap up.
You want to go ahead and pick one or two, and I can answer them?
Certainly. Is together mode versus gallery set by the moderator of the meeting or by an individual participant?
Yeah, so you actually have the ability to make that decision yourself. So it's not necessarily defined by the administrator. You can do that yourself. If you prefer one view or the other, that's up to you.
Okay. Somebody else has asked, in together mode, does Teams still highlight who is talking in purple?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't think it does.
I don't,
because there's no box. So
yeah, in our use of together mode at WheelHouse IT, I have not seen the speaker highlighted myself.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it makes your face purple or something. Yeah, that's a good question, but I think the answer is no.
And I'll give you one more question before I let you kind of
Sure.
roll back into this. Is noise suppression available via the mobile app?
Let's take a quick look. I don't think it's a mobile app thing. I can real quickly take a look. It doesn't look like it's available in the mobile app, no.
Okay. Questions in just a minute, but David, I'll let you go back to your presentation.
Sure. Yeah, happy to answer all the questions. So feel free to keep sending them. Breakout rooms. So this was another feature that is available in Zoom that people were asking for in Teams as well. So breakout rooms allow you to separate your large meeting into smaller discussion groups for a more focused type of collaboration. So the way this works is that you have your standard meeting going, and then up in the top you have your breakout room icon. You launch the breakout room experience. You get to choose how many rooms you need, whether you want to automatically assign people or manually assign people. And then you build the rooms. So it builds the rooms, and then you can either name the rooms however you want, and then assign who is going to be in those rooms once you open them up. You assign them to the rooms that you want, and then you start the room. So once the room starts, then people are moved into those rooms. That was the moderator view. From the attendees' perspective, they experience a regular Teams meeting. So in this case, we've got a shared digital whiteboard that's going on for brainstorming. You see that the moderator is sending a notification that pops up there at the top, telling them they got 5 minutes left until they regroup. We switch back to moderator, and the moderator now has the ability to pop in and out of the rooms to maybe share some insights or answer some questions, whatever it might be. And then at the end, once the rooms have been closed, we switch back to the attendee view. Everybody comes back into the same big room for the group discussion and the closeout of the meeting. So that was a kind of a 90-mile-an-hour flyover of what you can do in the meeting rooms or the breakout rooms, but you kind of get a sense for the experience. All right, so there was a question there about Teams Mobile. So there's a couple of actually pretty interesting features in Teams Mobile as far as the chat is concerned. So one of the things is artificial intelligence powered suggested replies. So you may have seen this already. The suggested reply uses assistive AI to create short responses based on the context of a message. You can also do swipe right to reply. So in this case, there was a message that was higher up in the chat that the person wanted to respond to, but you had to give it in context. So there may have been 10 other statements made after that question, but if the person had just typed, yes, talk to Lisa at the stage we're at right here, it wouldn't have made any sense. So by swiping right, it allows you to make clear what question was being responded to there. So that's pretty cool, especially the suggested replies. I use that all the time on my mobile device, and it's actually very accurate in some of the things that it suggests for the replies. So if you haven't played with that, make sure you take a look at it on your mobile device. Not everybody's aware of this feature, Microsoft Lists, but it is a feature that is integrated with Teams. It allows you to add list capabilities directly to a Teams channel, and you can build your own type of list or use a pre-made template to organize tasks. So it's very similar to like a SharePoint list on the back end, but it's got a nicer visual representation. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So first you create a tab in a team and choose List Data as your app that you want to integrate into it. We can create either a new list or we can build an existing list where you create a new one. You have some templates that you can use here. In this case, we're building an issue tracker. It builds out the format for you. You can change colors, you can change names, you can even change the icon that's used. And now you have this list that you can use to build out your own type of issue tracking tool. You notice what's going on here on the right-hand side is a side-by-side chat. So what's happening is you're able to chat about perhaps a task that has been assigned to somebody, and their explanation for why the status is blocked, right? So now this chat is being stored in the context of the list itself. So we can follow the progression of why a specific task is not getting accomplished, or what resources you need to fulfill a given task. So it gives you some information about this list entry. So that can be very valuable for tracking. Going back to our mobile devices, so one of the things that Microsoft 365 and Teams in particular was designed around was the idea of frontline workers. So in this case, what we're looking at is a worker named Lydia. She works in the women's department of the Fabricam store. She arrives at work, she picks up a shared mobile device, just a phone that has Teams installed, and she starts her day from that home screen. Now, Teams has been configured with all the tools that she needs for her role. She can stay on top of the latest information with the channels that she looks into. She can keep track of her scheduled tasks. Down here, she's got her tasks. She's got a walkie-talkie capability, and she can also stay connected with the team with Yammer. There's a time clock integration that lets her, the time clock is integrated with their workforce management tool on the back end, so she can clock in and clock out. She can offer to swap a shift, offer a shift, request time off, and so on. If she goes in and looks at her shift, she sees the tasks that have been assigned to her by her manager and sees the progress on those and importance. Now, walkie-talkie is a pretty cool one. So walkie-talkie is available, and this is something the hospitality industry has really considered important. Let me stop right here for a second. Shift-aware tags. So shift-aware tags, couldn't get it stopped in time. So shift-aware tags, what this did, let me see if I can back up a little bit. So Lydia, in this case, needed to send a message to the shift manager, but she didn't know who the shift manager was. So what she did was she just typed in shift manager, and that tag recognized that for right now, for the, let me back up just a tad here, if we can capture that. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to move that forward a little bit. So she writes store manager, and oh darn it, the tag recognized that who was it? Adele was the store manager for that time, and it populated her automatically. Sorry, that kind of got away from me. Kind of hard to play these videos sometimes. Okay, just a couple more points here. One of them is My Analytics, and My Analytics is kind of a tool that's used on the back end that you can use to explore your work patterns, learn ways that you can work smarter, be more productive, but also focus on your own well-being, and you'll be able to focus a little bit better. So let's take a look at this Personal Insights app. So this is your personal dashboard with insights in Teams. Now it includes what we call a virtual commute experience down here in the lower right-hand corner. This helps you to add structure to your remote work. Since most of us aren't traveling, we may want to still create that separation between work and home. And so this ready to leave for the day kind of signifies to you mentally, okay, it's time to stop work, kind of start disconnecting mentally from work. So it helps you to carve out time to be mindful about disconnecting from work in the evening. We also make it easy to close out tasks for the day. So you can have this list of things that, again, artificial intelligence identifies as things that you were assigned to do, and you can either mark them as done or you can add them to your to-do list. And just make a note about how you feel today. And then there's actually some tools that allow you to do meditation if that's the kind of thing that you're into. We have the ability to understand things that need to be done. So tasks that are identified as potentially being incomplete, or things that you need to send out a reminder on, things like that. It can provide you some guidance so that you don't forget things. And this is one of my favorites, protecting your time. So you have the ability using focus time to block out a set of time every day for you to focus. So that you're not always in a meeting, you're not always on a call, but you have time blocked out on your calendar that allows you to sit down and actually do some work in a 2-hour block or however long you want that to be. Booking this time is really important. I use it every single week so that I can focus more intently on specific things. And the last thing for managers, the well-being of their teams are always at the top of mind, and they often can be a life preserver in times of disruption and change. So a lot of managers are dealing with employees that feel burned out, they feel stressed, they feel worried. And so manager insights is a tool that managers can use to protect the well-being of their people and make sure that they stay productive. So employee experience is one of those. In this example, we learned that the employees on this team are only getting about half as much one-on-one time with their manager compared to other comparable teams. And so we get some industry best practices to help the manager with coaching and development, right? So we see here that your team and teams like yours, it gives you a comparison of how much time they spend with their manager. And then you get this little information about some coaching best practices. Moving on, there's some information about team effectiveness. So team effectiveness gives us some information about metrics for other teams of similar sizes and functional groups. So it helps you to understand more about your own team in comparison to other teams in your organization. So insight into these factors can help a manager create a culture that allows their employees to do their best work while at the same time preserving their well-being. So this is a feature that's going to be rolling out into teams very early this quarter. So be on the lookout for this manager analytics. So that brings us to the end of the demos and the discussion. What are the questions that we have in the queue there, Rory?
One question is, what is the difference between a list and tasks by planner?
Well, tasks, I would say, are more related to a specific individual's identified task for themselves, whereas list is a shared group of those tasks. So something that everybody can view, whereas tasks is more a personal list of things to do. That's kind of how I would look at it.
Okay.
I haven't honestly given that a whole lot of thought, so I reserve the right to be wrong.
Understandable. Another question is gallery mode and together mode available with the WVD, or otherwise known as Windows Virtual Desktop Media Optimized version?
Ooh, that's a good question. I haven't tried that, but that is a good question. I don't see why it wouldn't be, because
I know that we have a couple of clients that are using Windows Virtual Desktop, and we've not heard anything against that. So I want to assume that the answer is yes.
Yeah. I don't see any reason why you couldn't, as long as it can see your face, right? I mean, you have to have a camera, obviously, but as long as it can see your face, then it should work. Yeah.
Another question is, can the moderator pre-assign breakout rooms before the Teams meeting begins? I know there's a feature inside of Zoom.
No, yeah, not that I know of. I believe that has to be done once everybody's in the room. I will say I know that the CEO of Microsoft has publicly stated that Microsoft Teams is really going to be a big focal point of 2021. That since you guys have 111 million or 114 million people that are actively using the app on a daily basis,
with what's happened in the world, you guys are rapidly working to expand and take all the feedback that you have received and make it better.
Oh, I mean, I've just been amazed at how much stuff we've put into the product just in the last 6 months. It's really, I mean, there are definitely features in Zoom that are not in Teams, but there's a lot of people in Redmond that are working on that. I can promise you that.
Other question is, to use the whiteboard, do you need a touchscreen device like a Microsoft Surface? I can answer that question on my own, and you can feel free to expand on it. The answer is no. You can use the keyboard and mouse. I don't have a touchscreen in my office, but I'm constantly using the Teams whiteboard. It's a little clunky with the mouse. It's harder. You got to get used to it, but it's something you can definitely do.
Yeah. It does work better with a touch screen, but you can't do it with a mouse. I mean, if you ever use like MS Paint, if you try to draw something with MS Paint, that's the equivalent of trying to draw something on the whiteboard.
Certainly. Transcripts, so they automatically start when a meeting is recorded. Can you expand upon that?
Yeah. So the once you start recording, the transcription is started, and it's automatically saved. Yes.
This is more of I'm going to assume a rather technical question because some people don't use this, but is Teams compatible with Microsoft Power Automate or Microsoft Flow?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's actually one of the great integration stories, is that you can build Power Automate and Flow either. So I guess it depends on what specifically you're talking about. Are you talking about whether you can create flows in Teams? The answer is yes for that. So you can integrate, a tab with Power Automate, so that you can build flows there. But you can also build flows that leverage Teams actions. In other words, send a message to Teams if such and such happens. So either way, yes, Teams is fully integrated with Power Automate, Power Apps. There's a very, very tight integration there.
Whiteboard and draw it on and draw over it in the whiteboard notes.
I didn't get that whole question.
I apologize. Can you upload an image to the whiteboard and draw or write notes over top of that image?
Yes. Yeah, that's possible.
It looks like that's about it. I know that we are a little bit over the time that we allotted. We appreciate the questions. Just as a heads up, we are going to take a poll at the end of this from the questions that were submitted, and then we are going to randomly pick an attendee and then send them an email saying, hey, you have been given access to our e-training portal. At WheelHouse IT, every managed services client that comes to us, they give access to an e-training portal. So if you're not a managed services client of ours, and we're going to grab you, kind of possibly give you an email that says, hey, congratulations, and we'll give you access to our e-training portal. You'll have access to that for roughly 3 months. So we'll give you the first quarter of the year. So you get that in just a minute if you are our lucky winner. Somebody asked a question, is HubSpot bot for Teams notification only? The HubSpot bot for Teams is, I will tell you, we are a HubSpot company. We leverage HubSpot internally. That is a beta feature. So HubSpot is actively working on it. I'm not a fan of it myself at the moment. So there's a way to, HubSpot is working on it. A recording of this will be at wheelhouseit.com/resources. So if you missed it, if you have a question, if you want to review something again, you can definitely see this at wheelhouseit.com/resources. I know there were some internet issues. The questions are continuing to just flow in. David, if you have time, I don't know if you want to continue to answer some of these.
Sure.
Is there a way to export the transcript to a Word doc and not view through Teams in stream? So can you take the transcript and put it into a Word doc?
So if there are ways to do that. So one of the ways is to you could upload the recording into Stream, and Stream would create a text file that has the transcription, which you can then do whatever you want with. The problem with that, what I'll say is when you get the text, is that it's broken down like every second, right? It'll give you a timestamp every second for what was said, so that you know, it matches up with frames in the video. So it's not a real easily read transcript, the text file, but it is something that you can download. If you initially upload it into Stream, it'll do the transcription in Stream, and then you get that downloadable text file.
And for who asked that question, it was anonymous. I copied a link to a Microsoft support document to kind of give you the steps on that. And then our last question that is in the portal at the moment is, we've heard there are a lot of new features in meetings that will roll out soon, because Teams is forever evolving. Meeting reporting, better integration, availability of recorded videos to the team, whether they've attended the meeting, etc. Can some of those be discussed?
The ones that, so I've discussed everything that I'm publicly allowed to discuss.
Well, we're friends here, David. You can do anything with me.
So the only thing I could suggest is go to what is it, office.com/roadmap, or I can't remember what the link
I'll put a link up there for everybody.
Yeah, that should give you a you know, within the quarter when certain features will roll out. But I don't have any specific information that I can give out about, you know, exactly when things are going to be deployed to tenants. But the roadmap document, or even if you go to techcommunity.microsoft.com and join the Microsoft Teams tech community, there are a lot of announcements that take place in that area. So techcommunity.microsoft.com, join that, and follow the Teams group. That's where they make a lot of those announcements, and like a lot of the features that I described here, those were listed in the December What's New in Teams blog article.
Awesome. And then we have one more question that's popped in, is recording or transcripts of meetings turned on by the moderator or any participant. How do you know if a meeting is being recorded?
There is a bar that pops up at the top of the meeting that says this meeting is being recorded and transcription has started. So it's a visual cue for you.
Awesome. David, officially, we have no more questions that are in the Q&A. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. I want to thank David from Microsoft for joining us as well. It's been a pleasure. Again, if you'd like to see this, view it again, it is live at wheelhouseit.com/resources. My rockstar marketing team will get that up in just an hour or so. So we appreciate your time and we thank you for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye, everybody.